Focus up, Buttercup. It's time to learn about reptiles today. But before we do that, do you guys think I have autism? Like 1 to 10 on the autismo meter or whatever it's measured with. Because I don't know where hyperfixations end and autism begins, but I know they intersect somewhere. I've not been formally diagnosed, but I've also never been not formally diagnosed, so I just try to stay away from doctors unless I need metal wrenched from my body. I tell you what though, if I do got it, I got the weaponized tism, the kind of stuff that makes you memorize recipes for baked goods or improvised explosives. Now first, I gotta tell you what a reptile is, and more importantly, what it's not, in order to avoid confusion later in life. When you think reptile, think snakes, lizards, Jurassic Park-looking dinosaurs. Do not think slimy little dudes. Slimy little dudes are usually amphibians. That's like frogs and salamanders. It's real easy to confuse those two if you aren't paying attention. I initially wanted to talk about this little sect of reptiles for give or take 2 minutes. It turned out to be 70% of the video, because things just snowballed out of control. There's going to be honorable mentions of the other reptiles at the end, and I'm actually going to make them their own separate video now. So, who are we talking about? Well, that would be crocodiles, alligators, caiman, and their weird third brother that nobody really talks about. So all of these fall under the Crocodilia family tree and are broken into 3 branches: Crocodilidae, Alligatoridae, and Gavalidae. They won't be on the test, but it's extra credit if you do remember them. The big members of these branches are crocodiles, caiman, alligators, gharials, and false gharials. These are arguably the most evolutionarily successful animals in terms of living in and around tropical climates. The only other competitor that's close is Florida man. In order to find their origin, we are getting in our time machine, and no, it won't be a very long history lesson. It's only about 235 million years. Prehistoric crocodilians named Pseudotsuchians basically ruled the equator with an iron fist. They were big dogging on the first series of dinosaurs until a mass extinction event wiped the majority of them out. Not the meteor we all hear about, it was actually a series of volcanic eruptions. The Pseudotsuchians getting squad wiped resulted in the age of the dinosaurs beginning. However, they didn't all get burned, and evolution had them branch in more aquatic or terrestrial directions. They were pretty solid contenders in both fields, but my favorite was the Barusuchus. It's basically a 13-foot crocodile with the arms of a tiger. It's fucking terrifying. Anyway, post-meteor, they remained standing on business, being the best at evolution. You see, with less megafauna, the less giant predators have to subsist on, so they either die out or adapt, and crocodilians perfected this process of adaptation. Not only did they perfect it, they did it pretty damn quick compared to everything else. Now, you could ask, why aren't they running with the lifted croc loadout anymore? Fair question. It's because they have to maintain a middle ground between aquatic and terrestrial. Limbs get too long, efficiency in water goes down. Limbs turn to fins, efficiency on land goes down, unless you're a hippo, but that's mammalian shit. We're not getting into that today. They're weird. There's one more reason that we haven't seen big changes occur in crocodilians. There is no expansion of territory to spur evolutionary advancement. They can just hang out and become 15 to 20 odd feet long as is. The world would need to get significantly warmer for a very long period of time before this is even a consideration. And your opinion on climate change doesn't matter here. This kind of evolution takes longer than humans have been microwaving the Earth anyway. We have a relatively small effect on what they're doing, unless you're speaking of habitat destruction, which different case entirely. Anyway, in the grand scheme of things, we're coming off the ass end of an ice age, and their genetics are still recoiling from that. Even if they change quickly, you're still looking at hundreds of thousands of years until results begin to show. Point is, crocodilians are the absolute peak of evolution in the wild. Now I understand people asking, what about humans? You have a point, but we are successful because of our brains, tools, and ability to use them. I said in the wild, as in stripped of everything, raw dogging nature. If you're squaring up with a mature alligator with nothing but your bare titties and adrenaline, my money's not on you. History lesson went a little longer than intended. Here are the defining features that separate the crocodilians from one another. Why is this important? Look, you may not think it now, but it could save the life of you and others someday. I never thought I'd use the information either, until I did, and someone got to live longer because of it. Crocodiles are lighter in color. They have triangular heads, and they are mean as fuck. Remember that above all else. They populate the consistently warm areas of Africa, Asia, both Americas, and Australia. Saltwater or freshwater does not matter to them. They do not play by fish rules. Also, they can get up to 23 feet or 7 meters long, so that's mildly terrifying. Alligators, on the other hand, are pretty much exclusive to North America, are much darker in color, and have more rounded rectangular heads, and are generally more nonchalant. This does not mean they won't attack you. If you are doing vulnerable prey type shit, they will make you a victim. There's millions of years worth of DNA in crocodilians that explicitly tells them, hey fuck-ass, go rip a piece off of that thrashing or limping animal, and they are going to do it. Then you have caiman. These are smaller bootleg crocodiles that share the dark coloration of alligators. Caiman are found throughout South America and have been encountered in Florida in small numbers. They are more aggressive than alligators, but they also understand risk assessment. Most of you would be around the same size as one, which to them means you're not on the menu. However, caiman will fuck you up to defend themselves. All of the crocodilians will. These have been designed by nature to smoke you like a pack of reds. They're just unaware of how much of a squishy pussy that you really are. They think you might be a thin gorilla, so keep the illusion up. As for the last two in the family, the gharial and the false gharial mostly prey on fish, and they are so far down on the endangered species list, you've got a better chance pissing into a beer bottle at 10 paces without getting the ground wet than ever seeing one. There's less than 1,000 left in the wild, and that knowledge fills me with rage, so we're gonna move past this before I start issuing death threats to Indians. All crocodilians will get more lethargic when the temperature is below 70-odd degrees Fahrenheit. They will also get more active when nighttime rolls around, as they are nocturnal predators. Fortunately for them, they are incredibly energy efficient and do not need to constantly feed in order to survive. They can eat up to half their body weight in one sitting if necessary, but they may also go an entire year of consuming nothing. Due to an incredibly acidic stomach, they're able to eat whatever the hell they want. This gives them a unique position as both elite scavengers, in addition to being apex ambush predators. Ideally, crocodilians, and remember, that's not just crocodiles, it's the entire spectrum, hunt in the most efficient way possible. It's similar to how a Venus flytrap works. They lay low in the murky water of a high-traffic area and wait until their prey gets near. Then, in an instant, they lunge from the water, clamping down on their target. After that, the animal gets dragged back into the water, where crocodilians just hold them and wait. Too much struggling, and it begins to barrel roll, which leaves two possibilities: ripping off whatever it's latched onto, or breaking bones and drowning the screaming animal it's got a hold of. We should all take a moment before bed every night to thank those volcanic eruptions and the Ice Age for hitting the way that they did. This was not meant to be an episode solely dedicated to crocodilians. However, I realized very quickly that the fish template doesn't work with them. You see, when fish evolve, they're still fish. They're a little bigger, they're a little smaller, but they're still mostly fish. Crocodilians, on the other hand, or going all the way back to the Pseudotsuchians, they are all over the place. They're on land, they're in water, they're chasing down deer, they're fucking with plesiosaurs. Like, there's so much depth to them. So, what I'm saying is I have barely scratched the surface and probably will have to address this again some other time. But for the time being, honorable mentions that may see some sunshine the next time we do this. The basilisk lizard that makes Jesus Christ look like a water-walking amateur. The Komodo dragon, which we must prevent from becoming an invasive species at all costs. The reticulated python, who is already an invasive species because people are fucking useless. The Gila monster, a lizard that started the Ozempic trend. No, that is not hyperbolic at all. It literally did. The Gaboon viper, generally hailed as one of, if not the fastest striking snake in the world. The Galapagos tortoise, a dusty old fucker that more often than not outlives its owners in captivity and must be put in a will. Leatherback sea turtles, that's turtles, not tortoises. There's a difference in about 1,500 pounds between the two. And the sunbeam snake, a reptile those piss-soaked dipshits who bought and then released pythons because they couldn't hack it should have purchased. One moment while I get my soapbox and a rant out of cold storage because I just mentioned invasive species. Just had to clear out the lungs. If you are going to take an animal into your care that is not endemic to the environment in which you live, be aware of how to handle said animal and don't release it into your environment. What in the honey bunches of fuck are some of you people thinking when you came into possession of an invasive species because it was trendy? Oh, that's right, you weren't. You weren't thinking. There's about 40,000 invasive species that have been slam-fucked into places that they should have never been. Can you guess why? I'll give you a hint. They weren't flying the fucking plane themselves. I thought Nemo was trying to make the most unlikable child in the world with their depiction of that dentist's headgear-laden, pigtailed, freckled-faced fuckling. Turns out, there's actual people like that who unfortunately survived into adulthood. These people are no better than the rich or superstitious dick smokers that keep the poaching trade alive and well. Speaking of people that unfortunately survived their childhood, there's two more right there. I swear, the only reason this problem isn't worse is because these future DUI recipients are either too stupid to obtain or too undisciplined to afford a hyena. Okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's all I got this time around while we wait for Monster Hunter Wilds. You might catch me playing a game where I dig a hole for the sake of digging a hole later, though. Guys understand that. It's just kind of an innate thing that we do, and now there's a video game for it that I don't have to risk hitting electrical lines for. Anyway, the gaming Discord is linked in the description if you've any interest in that. Otherwise, have a good one, and these animal things are probably going to go for until the 28th.